What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Brave X Hero, and today we're going to be talking about 5 exotics that should be on your radar for when Witch Queen launches. Well, a few weeks back, Bungie released patch note previews of some exotic weapons that are receiving some updates in the Witch Queen expansion. So today, we're going to be discussing those 5 exotics and what these updates mean to these exotics and why it's going to make them S tier. So if you enjoyed today's video, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. But with that, let's get into the video. Our first exotic flies under the radar. Literally nobody uses it. That exotic is going to be Edgars Scepter, the only stasis trace rifle for the kinetic slot. Now, for those wondering, Edgars Scepter is the story exotic for this season, and the catalyst, which turns this weapon into a monster, can be acquired when completing astral alignment. Now, at base, this is your typical trace rifle with stasis properties, but with a fully unlocked catalyst, this weapon can consume a guardian super and unlock bonus damage. Essentially, by consuming your super, you gain about an 80% buff to damage, which is extremely noticeable. Upon consuming your super, it takes your critical shot from 17 to 31. Essentially, it takes it from a special weapon to a heavy weapon. Now, this weapon is getting a bit of a rework. Bungie plans on changing it to where super regeneration rate is on par with the current subclasses. And when activating Edgars Scepter's catalyst, your super drain speed is much slower, thus allowing you to take advantage of the catalyst when it's active. Now, I personally think that this raises the weapon's viability in not only PvP, but also PvE. If you've never used this perk in PvP, you are truly missing out. I personally believe that a lot of Guardians out there are scared to use this gun. They're scared to use a gun that's going to eat away at their super. But that shouldn't stop you from utilizing Edgars Scepter. If you spec your entire character out to max intellect and use something like a tier 5 subclass like Well of Radiance or a tier 4 like Blade Barrage, you can truly take advantage of this weapon's catalyst and do some damage in PvP. So if you haven't unlocked this weapon or its catalyst, do so now, because in Witch Queen, this weapon is going to rise up the ranks. Our next exotic on the list is one that I personally love and I also hate at the same time. I know, guys, we have the Lumina. Now, this weapon has been around forever and needs very little explanation on what it does. The Lumina is an exotic hand cannon for the kinetic slot with the exotic perk Noble Rounds. Kills with this weapon leave behind remnants. Absorbing a remnant converts your next hipfire shot into an ally seeking noble and partially refills the magazine. It also comes with the perk Blessing of the Sky. Using a noble round on an ally heals them and grants both you and them a weapon damage bonus for a short duration. Also, with a fully unlocked catalyst, this now gives you 2 remnants for the price of 1. What can I say? On paper, Lumina sounds good. From healing your teammates to a 25% damage buff. But why isn't this gun number 1? Why isn't it used often? Guys, I made an exotic hand cannon tier list and Lumina didn't even rank above A slot. But why is that? It's simple. The gun has terrible range and stability. With bad range, it feels like you're shooting ghost bullets. And with bad stability, the recoil is all over the place. The gun overall feels like crap. But with the release of Witch Queen, Bungie is going to be tweaking this weapon. Bungie stated that they will be buffing the Lumina's range and stability. I've said it in prior videos. If Lumina ever got a bump to its range or stability, it was going to make this gun S tier. And with Bungie making these changes, guys, this gun is going to feel amazing in PvP. There are so many builds with Lumina, from body shotting people with a sniper when you have Blessing of the Sky active, to utilizing Boots of the Assembler with Lumina and making this crazy healing build, or just overall being a support player for your teammates. But all these builds are much harder to use because the main weapon Lumina has terrible range and stability. But in Witch Queen, this is going to change it all. So if you plan on utilizing this weapon in PvP or taking it into a day 1 raid, go unlock this weapon now. Our next exotic used to be one of the worst exotics in the game. Like, no joke, it was the worst raid exotic ever created. But then Bungie buffed 750 RPM SMGs, thus giving the Teraba a breath of life. Guys, the next exotic on the list is the Teraba. This is an exotic energy SMG with the perk Ravenous Beast. This weapon stores power when dealing or receiving damage. Holding reload will unleash the beast. I've said it in the past that the Terrible is like a double-edged sword. If you really want to use this gun to its full potential, well then you can't put it away, thus one side of the blade. But if you want to use special weapons or any other weapon and swap to it, well, that's like falling on the other side of the blade. Look, the Terrible is a great gun. It's extremely deadly in PvP. The biggest drawback is that you can't store the gun. You can't put it away. When you do, you lose all of that progress you made. But with the launch of Witch Queen, this weapon is getting 2 reworks. Number 1, when you stow this weapon, you will not be losing all your progress. You'll only be losing about half. And the second rework that the Terrible is receiving is a change to the perk Ravenous Beast. Players will be able to extend its duration when dealing damage to enemy guardians. Look, if there was one gun that ever needed a rework, it was Terrible. Terrible is such a good gun, but it punished players when you would swap weapons. So these changes that Bungie's making, it's welcome. Guys, this weapon is gonna be S tier. A few weeks back, I made an SMG tier list, and I put the Terrible in the A slot. And in that video, I said, if Terrible ever got an exotic catalyst or a rework to where you can stow the weapon without losing progress, it would easily be S tier. So if you're still lacking to unlock the Terrible, this might be a great time for you to do it, because this weapon in the Witch Queen is gonna be a monster in not only PvP, but also PvE as well. Our next weapon on the list is an exotic sidearm. And to be honest, it feels nothing like a sidearm. It feels more like a scout rifle sniper mix. Guys, we have the exotic sidearm for the kinetic slot, Forerunner. Now the Forerunner is the only sidearm in the game that uses special ammo. And the reason for that is because of how lethal this weapon is. This exotic sidearm can easily 3 critical shot an opponent from across the map. Now when this weapon was released, Bungie stated that they were going to watch it closely. They wanted to be very conservative on the ammo economy because of how lethal it is. But with the Witch Queen expansion, Bungie stated that they will be changing the ammo economy for this weapon. Now in PvP, when you pick up a special ammo brick, you will now be picking up 3 instead of 2. And if you're utilizing a sidearm scavenger mod, you will now be picking up 5 rounds instead of 4. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but it actually is a lot and a huge buff to this weapon. Before the rework, when you would pick up a special ammo brick, it would only be 2 rounds if you're not running a scavenger mod. And with this weapon, it requires 3 critical shots to take down any guardian. And what does this mean? Well, before this rework, when you would pick up a special ammo brick, that was not enough ammo to secure a kill. But when the Witch Queen launches and this weapon gets reworked, being able to pick up 1 special ammo brick is going to be able to secure you a kill. I promise you that with the Witch Queen expansion, this weapon is gonna rise to the top of the ranks. And by the end of the season, players are gonna be asking Bungie to nerf this weapon. Our final weapon on the list isn't getting a rework, it's getting a catalyst. We don't actually know when it's gonna receive the catalyst, we just know it's gonna be after the launch of the Witch Queen expansion. Our final weapon on the list is a combat bow. We have the energy weapon, the Luminar. Now to cover this weapon quickly, because again, it's not getting a rework, it's gonna get a catalyst. While on the Destiny Massive Breakdown podcast, Bungie's staff designer, Chris Proctor, answered a number of questions regarding Destiny 2's sandbox and how certain aspects of weapons functioned. At the very end of the podcast, one of the hosts asked Chris Proctor when the Luminar will be getting an exotic catalyst, to which Proctor answered, soon. Proctor did not give any other details about the catalyst besides the fact that players can expect to see it soon. Look, I love Luminar, and I'm actually curious on what kind of catalyst it'll receive. So when the Witch Queen launches, guys, keep your eyes peeled for an exotic catalyst for the Luminar bow. But with that, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to turn on all notifications. I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. You have a good one, and I will see you in the next video.